criticizing yourself, constantly criticizing yourself, is getting you absolutely nowhere. And the reason you think it is because it's like a whack-a-mole. The moment that you adjust a behavior that you've criticized yourself for, you start to criticize yourself for something else. And I've never met someone who's criticized themselves so much that they no longer have anything to criticize themselves for. It's a pattern, it's a habit. You tell yourself that it's a journey with a destination, that if you keep being hard on yourself and judging yourself, that eventually you'll arrive at this point that there's nothing else to really be hard on yourself for. But that's not true. What you're caught in is a cycle of judgment that's keeping you from understanding the things that you need to understand and appreciate in order to get to the next level. And I don't mean the next level in terms of like money. I mean the next level in terms of your consciousness and your awareness of where you are in this whole thing. Okay? So here's kind of what I mean by that. Here's a specific example. Whenever I was younger, I would have a really hard time praying. When I say younger, I mean like 6 months ago. When I would have a really hard time praying or meditating or sitting in silence at all. And I would notice myself drifting. I would notice my mind drifting off. And I would judge myself for it. I would say, I'm doing it again. This isn't actually praying. I'm not actually talking to God because I'm not focused. I'm not actually doing this because my mind isn't in the right place. And I start to judge myself in my own mind. And what I began to realize is that was only happening because I was associating with the thought, that I was feeling as if I was the thought itself, that the thought was coming from me and it was original and therefore it was true. But when I began to learn that my thoughts cannot be trusted, that I don't choose my thoughts, thus I cannot believe every thought that I have, and that for the most part, most of the thoughts that we have are some attempts at like a judgment or an assessment of something, right? We're constantly trying to assess the future, assess the past, judge another person, figure out where this person is on the hierarchy so we can know how much attention to give them, figure out where this other person is, figure out where we are on the hierarchy, figure out how valuable we are. Everything is constant stream of judgment, judgment, judgment. And when you realize that that's not you, that's just cultural conditioning in your mind, you stop listening to you judging yourself and you just let yourself be. So whenever you're caught in meditation or you're caught in prayer and you hear your mind going, well, you're not actually praying because you're not actually focused, instead of logging into that thought and saying, oh man, I'm not praying because I'm not focused and God's going to be mad at me and I'm not doing this right. Here's what you can do. When that thought comes, just observe it. Instead of going, oh yes, I'm not paying attention. I'm now one with the thought. It's like, no, these aren't my eyes. These are blue light glasses. The thought that you have that your inability to pay attention is not true. It's just something external that the moment that you try to over associate with it and try to make it into being who you are and what you are, that's the moment that you feel so wrapped up in it that you can't distinguish yourself from it. So instead of logging into the thought, you can say, okay, I'm having this judgment on myself that I'm not paying attention. But here's the thing. The fact that you are noticing that you're not paying attention is paying attention. Like if you know that your focus isn't 100% right, that means that your mind knows what it should be focusing on. Your consciousness knows what it should be focusing on, which is a step in the right direction. So you can flip that. You can say, okay, thank you, mind, for your input. That's nice. But I am focused because the very fact that I noticed I wasn't focused is focus. That's the first step back. So, because here's what a lot of us are doing. You're blowing up your first step back by judging yourself. So if you miss a workout, instead of saying, I missed a workout, man, I'm lazy, I'm this, I'm that, it's the end of the world. Instead of judging yourself for it, I missed a workout. I noticed that I missed a workout because I have a standard for myself. And I'm not going to judge myself for it. I'm not going to log into the feeling. I'm not going to, people associate the gym with like failure, or they associate all these different things in their life, prayer, spiritual life, with like failure and inability and incapacities, because there's this constant judgment. You can live without judging yourself. You can live without judging other people. Jesus says, judge not lest you be judged. He's not saying that I'm only going to judge you if you judge other people. The standard by which God judges does not change. I believe the way to interpret that is you will judge yourself based on the way that you judge other people. So if you are ranking people in a hierarchy based on particular things, then you will end up judging yourself based on that particular list of things. So if you say, well, this person is valuable because of X, Y, and Z, okay, well, then you're going to judge your value and you're going to assess your value based on X, Y, and Z. But when you just drop your mind's need to constantly be judging and assessing everything, use your mind's judgment to judge whether or not you should drink milk that's 10 years old out of your grandmother's refrigerator. Okay, don't use your mind to judge the weight and worth of every single person, because when you do that, when you're scrolling social media and you're even making assessments like, ooh, that person's this, that person's cool, that person's attractive, that person's all these different, that person's successful. When you start creating these value judgments in your mind, that's eventually going to be reflected back onto you. You are creating the reality that you're experiencing through the standard by which you judge the world, because by the standard which you judge the world, you will end up judging yourself and you will feel judged. And so that's why a lot of us hate sitting with our thoughts, because we are constantly assaulting ourselves in our own minds because we're believing everything our minds have to say about us. But you have to stop associating with the thoughts of judgment and just let them pass. It is simply a cloud. It is simply a cloud passing overhead. You do not have to jump. You ever heard the phrase, get your head lost in the clouds? My heads were lost in the clouds. Let the thought be a cloud. Let the temptation to judge be a cloud. And the temptation itself is not wrong. Jesus was tempted. Clouds passed over Jesus whenever he was in the wilderness for 40 days. Clouds passed over his head. He was tempted for 40 days and 40 nights. He was tempted. And so you too are going to have clouds that pass over your head. It's fine. You don't have to jump up into them and associate yourself with them and put it on and say, oh my God, I'm the cloud. I had a temptation to judge, and therefore now I'm judging, and now I'm judging myself. You don't have to do it. You can just watch it. You can just watch it. So stop locking into your judgment, man. You don't have to be judging as much as you think you do. You don't have to judge at all. Why assess or judge anything? You don't have to. Like that part of your brain is not meant for the things that we use it for.